and welcome to What's Next Wall Street. I am Georgia Alfredas.
And I'm Dave Mathews, and this show is about stocks, crypto, NFTs, and the decentralized Web3 world around us.
Yes, it is. I've got details on all the hot new trending products that everybody's talking about using and investing in. And this week, I'm talking about inflation and the dreaded supply chain issue, but it's not all bad. Okay, it's pretty bad. Anyway, I got details that may have you looking up. I've got more on that in today's Consumer Trend segment.
And I'm going to show you why the iPhone is actually a bargain at $1,000 if you buy it outright.
What? Who's got that kind of money? We just talked about inflation.
True.
Okay. We've got Greg Krause, lead instructor at OptionsPlayers.com, as our expert. Greg charts a lot of the most talked about investment opportunities out there, and those chart indicators can show where a particular stock is headed so that it's easier to target investment potential. So what Greg does is combine technical analysis with fundamental knowledge.
That's right. And our goal with all this is to help you become a more informed trader with a tailored trade plan so that you can stay up to speed with what's next on Wall Street and keep stacking your gains.
That's right. So click the link below to watch the entire show. You can email us at WNW@OptionsPlayers.com or hit us up on social media at What's Next Wall Street with your questions. We can also direct you to instructors and experts over at OptionsPlayers.com who dig into trading fundamentals.
You can watch this episode on the Options Players YouTube channel, where we're getting some great comments. So thank you for those.
Yes.
Or you can listen to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
And no matter where you get your What's Next Wall Street, make sure you subscribe, like, and don't be so stingy with your little stars. We'll take 5, please.
A new survey shows roughly 3/4 of voters believe sitting members of Congress should not be allowed to trade stocks. You think? The survey found that 76% of voters think elected officials on Capitol Hill have an unfair advantage driving the stock market. Only 5% approved of lawmakers' stock trades, while about 20% had no opinion. Along party lines, the poll found that 70% of Democrats, 78% of Republicans, and almost 80% of independents thought lawmakers should be barred from securities trading. Georgia, do you think this stems from Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul, buying $3.5 million in call options of the high-flying California-based companies like Salesforce, Alphabet, Roblox, and Disney? Maybe. Oh, and along the lines of full transparency, look at what came from Fauci's moron comment he made toward Republican Roger Marshall. The Kansas senator announced a new act called the Financial Accountability for Uniquely Compensated Individuals, or Fauci Act. That's very clever wordplay. This would require public access of financial disclosures from the official Office of Government Ethics, or OGE, is that kind of like ogre? For administration officials like Dr. Fauci. It would also require a list of those in government whose disclosures remain private. All this is from a hot mic incident. We can't make this stuff up. Now, truth be told, the data was there in the public record. It was just buried under some skeletons. The Center for Public Integrity, a nonprofit journalism center, actually obtained Fauci's 2020 financial disclosure in August of that same year of 2020 after requesting it in May, and in their words, after badgering a government office about it. Now, that disclosure was partially redacted because of the National Institute of Health cited a Freedom of Information Act when handing over, which the reporter says, that's unnecessary. So we can't wait to see Fauci's 2021 financial disclosures as America's top paid government official and pandemic fatigue public enemy #1.
Okay. I'm still waiting on the Trump Act. I mean, if I'm Fauci, I'm going to send my financial disclosures in as soon as the former president does. And in all honesty, let's just keep it real. The way Fauci dismissed Roger Marshall, that was greatness. He was so nonchalant in his savageness. Meanwhile, I love how everybody calls out Nancy Pelosi. Is it because she's one of 2 women on the top 10 list of lawmakers who made hella money from investments? Or is it because she's liberal, asking for a friend who's a woman and a liberal? Meanwhile, is there a survey about celebrity influencers having an unfair advantage? Kim Kardashian and boxer Floyd Mayweather are being sued by investors for spreading misleading info about cryptocurrency Ethereum Max. Now, the class action lawsuit accuses the little-known cryptocurrency of partnering with celebrities to artificially inflate its price by spreading misinformation via social media. Now, Kardashian promoted it in an Instagram post last year while Mayweather endorsed the token during a boxing match where attendees could use it to buy tickets. Now, the cryptocurrency has lost most of its value since June of last year and has been labeled a pump and dump operation by investors. But I got to ask you, what is the difference in this and Elon Musk and Dogecoin? I don't understand it. Tesla merch is now available using Dogecoin. So it's not regulated. So how can anyone sue anybody else for it? I don't understand it.
Well, everyone loves a free payout, and lawyers with contingency plans are there for the work.
That's right.
In testing news, more than 500 million at-home COVID tests are being distributed by the United States Post Office across the country.
Yes.
With 20% of each day's first orders going to zip codes that have experienced high rates of COVID-19 cases and deaths. I put my order in, but I expect them to come in 6 and 8 weeks, thanks to issues. But who knows what type of life we will test with them. In Hong Kong, a contact tracing / extermination program for hamsters is underway.
What?
Because they either contracted or gave COVID to a worker at a breeding facility. No news yet if Fluffy and Spunky will be spared. Today's pro tip is brought to you by OptionsPlayers.com. Understanding what other traders do, like how they look at the charts and how they perceive information, is vital for your own trading. Traders who are aware of others' patterns and find common threads can use this knowledge to their own advantage. Round numbers are a key component of this, and here's why. When you realize that round numbers almost always show the largest manifestation of orders across all instruments, you can play anticipated moves better and capture premiums as opposed to losing them.
Okay.
While drawing your lines and planning trades, make sure you're cognizant of these situations, and it will increase your stacked gains.
Okay.
We hope this helps you maximize your stacking for 2022.
All right, this is where we get to hear from you. You can always hit us up on social media at What's Next Wall Street. Ask your question in the comments section of our YouTube page, or you can email us at wnw@optionsplayers.com. Okay, let's check out this first email. Jeremy Bradway from Boston writes, I am really new to trading and there are so many terms that I don't fully understand. I hear you guys mention chart indicators. I Googled it and got a few different answers. Can you simplify it for me? Absolutely, Jeremy. Sometimes a thing is just a thing. You know what a chart is, so a chart indicator is just that. For once, it's just as easy as it sounds. It's just a plain old chart, Jeremy, except sometimes the charts aren't so plain. Maybe that's the issue. So maybe I'm oversimplifying this. Greg is here. Let me let you complicate things a little bit and maybe answer this question correctly. Is a chart just a chart, Greg?
Well, a chart is a chart. When you're talking about indicators, it changes on who you're talking to. So for me personally, if I say an indicator, I'm talking about the indicators below the chart. Okay. So it could be like RSI or something like that. But technically, those aren't indicators. They're oscillators, but that's getting a little, like I said, too complicated there. Okay. They're indicators. And then anything that's on the chart, I consider it an overlay because it's over the top of the charts. But they're all indicators, but there's multiple indicators. You have, when we're talking about stock indicators, you have what's called leading indicators and trailing indicators or lagging indicators, and then coincident indicators. Leading would be something like economic data. Okay, so initial jobless numbers. That is a leading indicator. It's going to tell you what might happen to the price in the future. Versus like a moving average, which is based upon what's already happened in the price. That would be a lagging indicator. And then your coincidence ones are the ones that are happening right now. For example, with those, it could be the volume currently or something like that. And that's just that. Then there's even more. So yes, indicator is just something on the chart. It's a mathematical formula with a bunch of data, either price, volume, or something like that, economic data that we're using to make best way to do it, educated guesses on what the stock will do next. And that's all it is.
So there you go, Jeremy. Just like I said, a chart's just a chart.
All right. Well, Jason from Akron, Ohio asks, when we hear inflation is rising, where is the money going if metals equities, and crypto are all dropping. Despite the horrible weather on the East Coast, car auctions are sky high, and I'm headed to the big one in Phoenix at the end of the month to see if people are driving their savings around. Greg, do you know where the money is?
Money is fugazi, all right? Not, you know what I'm talking about. All right. To pull in my Matthew McConaughey there. It's just because it's showing that there's value in the market doesn't mean that money has actually been produced, right? It's nothing. It's fairy dust. Y'all seen the Wolf of Wall Street movie, you know, the one with the scene where it's like, So it's not there. So
the guy's a trip. He shared an office down the hall from me in California once, and the guy's a nut job. That's the character in the movie that Matthew played.
Yeah,
that's the guy in real life too.
Well, I was really calm. I don't know. I used to be in the military, and then when I was deployed, there'd be like, let's say there's a battle going on. I'd be on the radio, and I was always like, "Hey, what's going on?" And and everybody's screaming. I'm like, "All right, guys, this is what we're doing." So they always called me McConaughey 7 instead of my call sign, because I had that little southern drawl and always talked really slow. And they're like, "Hurry up, we need to know what's going on."
Yeah.
But it doesn't really mean anything. Everything is down. It could be they're holding cash, although we have inflation rules. They could be going into bonds, which bonds have been going up. But yeah, I mean, the market is already at the top. And like I said, it's just because the price is going down doesn't mean the money's going anywhere.
High-end cars are through the roof. The auction, every one of the auction sites is getting record numbers for cars. So it blows my mind.
If it's not, the stock market is not a zero-sum game. Which basically what that means is if someone buys something, someone has to lose something, right? Zero sum.
So it's like
you
life.
Make $1, I lose $1.
That's right.
That's not what the stock market is. It's not a zero sum game. You can make $10, you can make $5, and I can lose nothing, and that's just how the stock market works. Okay. Right? So like I said, it's pixie dust out there, yeah.
All right.
So, all right, well, if you have a question, we can answer it, or we can find the pixie dust answers from someone who can. So hit us up on social media at What's Next Wall Street, or email us, WNW@OptionsPlayers.com, with your questions. So the iPhone turned 15 in January of 2022. Happy birthday, iPhone! And Georgia, just as your son turned 16.
Yes.
Now, how time flies. Now, I'm not one to buy a new iPhone every year. Typically, I wait every other year. Okay. In the computer processor world, this cycle is called a tick and tock. And no, this wasn't inspired by social media.
So there's no dance that goes with it?
There's not. It's a model of chip improvement process that Intel leveraged from 2005 through 2016. Okay. So remember when you'd have an iPhone 4, then there'd be the 4S, and then the 5, and the 5S, and so on.
Yeah.
Well, that's an example of a slightly better version of the phone coming out the following year from the same platform the year before.
Okay.
Now, Apple stopped this practice with the iPhone 7, then reintroduced it with the iPhone 10, which was arguably the best phone they ever made. Well, until the 10S, which is what I'm still using. Now, why is that? Well, the screen has an OLED display. The phone isn't too large or too small. It has the same 12-megapixel camera as the latest iPhone 13 Pro,
right,
and has the ability to run a second software SIM, which is great for when you travel. Now, the 10, which came out on the 10th anniversary, was the first phone with optical stabilization. Okay. And the S afterward added machine learning chip to make photos even better. Now, the iPhone 12 and 13, which you have, took some software machine learning to the next level for things like focus and night modes. And sure, I don't have the zoom levels or wide angle lenses, but I'm not a private investigator. I just like having a phone that fits in my pocket, and when I drop it on my face in the morning, it doesn't break my nose because it's too heavy. And look, 5G is the ultimate in carrier hype, but most people don't even turn it on. Do you even notice when your 5G turns on?
I would never know.
Exactly. Now, the iPhone 14, due in September of 2022, if we clock to Apple's current debut cycle, is supposed to finally update the camera sensor. You know, the cameras we're using now date back to the iPhone 6S.
Wow.
Now, these are 12 megapixel cameras, and we hope that we'll see a 48 megapixel camera. That's 4 times an increase in pixels.
Oh, wow.
But today, people reach for their phones before their laptops, and devices cost more than $1,000 outright. So can you justify the price? Let's dig into this lazy Susan of technology.
Oh boy. Oh, it really is a lazy Susan. Okay.
It is, yeah.
All right, so what you got?
The iPhone is an MP3 player with Apple Music. So there's the MP3 player, which you probably subscribe to Apple Music for $9 a month.
All right.
And here's the iPod, which cost back in the day about $300. It's also a messenger, which there's the pager on there.
Okay. Let's see. Where's the pager?
The pager, that's lazy Susan.
Lazy
Okay,
Susan over the
all right.
pager. Okay, there's
Okay,
the
there's
pager.
the pager.
So there you go, beeper. That's a couple $100. It's a camera, so you don't need to spend $500 on the camera. So
Okay,
the Casio Canon camera, there you go.
Okay,
All
all
right,
right.
so that's a cool camera. That has GPS in it, which the iPhone does too.
What?
It's also a video recorder, so the 4K video recorder, that's like $500.
Okay.
Hey, did you know that many famous YouTubers just buy a dozen or so iPhones to use as their camera gear?
Wow.
It makes sense because the cameras are great and they fit in your pocket and the batteries last forever.
Yeah.
So, okay, what else? Cell phones. The
Okay,
iPhone is a cell phone too.
yeah.
So there's my great brick phone. You'll love that. And they're also, as your kids probably know, a video player. So that's a little Casio TV. Now that screen is so small on the Casio TV that it actually reflects into a mirror.
Wow.
And how often do your kids hold up their phone watching full shows rather than sit in the living room in front of a big screen TV, right?
Always.
Right? So save $500. You don't need to buy that TV anymore.
Yeah.
So the lazy Susan of tech, we're going to add it all up. These 5 devices that we used to buy, and bingo, all that is $2,000. So the iPhone is actually a bargain at $1,000. You can actually pay for the higher capacity one to get the cool features of extra storage without feeling, if you bought the $1,000 one, only have a little paltry amount of storage. So
Okay.
I think I just broke the pricing code that Apple uses to justify the price of these.
Probably.
So estimates of the device build cost for the iPhone 13 are around $570 according to iFixit, who they like to take apart this stuff more than I do. Now, they also called the 13th version of the iPhone a new low for repairability.
Ooh.
Apple didn't sit on the fence with this, as they announced a new self-service repair store with 200 replacement parts for the iPhone 12 and 13, and even the new M1 processor Max. Now, your local authorized repair shops can buy parts like screens and cameras, which these days are software locked, kind of like printer cartridges. But with all the corners that aftermarket manufacturers cut to lower the price on their gear, it makes sense to buy the real Apple deal. Now, I think I'm finally going to upgrade to the iPhone 14, even if it's hard to fix. So what was the topic of this tip?
I know. Wait, it was.
I wanted to show off all my old gadgets.
Yeah.
Well, it was really,
Birthday.
it was the iPhone's
Yeah, okay.
15th birthday. We couldn't get through the day enjoying and creating media without you. So
It's true.
happy birthday,
It's
iPhone.
true, actually. All right, so I had hoped we'd be talking about something other than the supply chain and inflation, but here we are, my fellow consumers, talking about the supply chain and inflation. So I would blame these big old thighs on Peloton raising its prices, but alas, I've had my Peloton for at least 5 years, so let's press on. Starting January 31st, the cost of getting that Peloton is going up, not a lot, but still an additional $250 is going to be tacked on for the delivery and setup of the original bike, bringing the total cost to like $1,745. While the Tret's going to go up $350, that's making it $2,845. The price for the Peloton's new Bike Plus is going to stay the same. Now, Peloton says inflation and supply chain issues are to blame. Okay, we get it. But you'll be happy to know that these next couple of price hikes have nothing to do with the supply chain. Netflix is going up $1 on its basic subscription. That's not much, right? From like $8.99 to $9.99. While HD streaming on 2 devices is going up $1.50. And then if you want to stream on more devices at once, the price is going to go from like $17.99 to $19.99. So the basic subscription is going to go from $9.99 a month to $15.49 a month. So why is Netflix going up? So that they can continue to offer a wide variety of quality entertainment options, right? Duh. Netflix did have an amazing 2021, though. We got to give props where props are due. Squid Game. Did you watch Squid Game?
No, couldn't get into
Red
it.
Notice.
No. It looks
Witcher,
creepy.
The Witcher. Don't Look Up.
No.
Power of the Dog.
No.
You know what? I got to give you my Netflix code.
No.
That's probably
All I need is
why
Ozark.
they're going up. So here's a price that actually has me scratching my head. This price hike is just weird. Vinyl albums are outselling CDs in the US for the first time in 30 years, which is weird because who even still uses a CD anyway? But according to data from Billboard,
I actually load CDs into my iPod.
That's actually quite scary. But according to data from Billboard, over 38% of all album sales in the country last year were in vinyl form. They also accounted for over 50% of physical album sales. During Christmas week, people bought over 2 million records. Now, the last time consumers did that, I was in diapers. You too. Okay, it was 1991. We
we
were
weren't
young,
that young.
so whatever. Okay, what did people buy? Adele's newest album called 30. So vinyls can be an investment if you got the right ones. What's the top selling vinyl record of all time? Greg, I'm going to let you guess, and I'm going to let you guess.
Oh, man. Beatles, or is that one right there?
That was it. It was Wu-Tang Clan's.
No way.
Yeah.
I was going with Beatles for sure.
No, Wu-Tang Clan. It was like $2 million.
People were buying it to scratch it or something?
No, it was. They only made
Oh,
one.
it was a
They only
DAO.
made one.
It was
and
a DeFi thing. That
yeah,
makes sense.
they only
Okay.
made one, and it was $2 million, and somebody bought it from them for like $4 million. It's a whole big thing, so that was cool. But number 2, yes, the Beatles' White Album sold for $790,000 to an unknown buyer right here in the U.S. Elvis Presley's My Happiness. Guess who paid $300,000 for that? Jack White of White Stripes. So that's
that's cool.
that's kind of cool though. Dave, your favorite album of all time? Quick.
The KLF Chill Out.
I don't even know what's.
If you know, you know.
Okay, if you know, comment. I don't know. Okay, Greg, quick, favorite album of all time?
I like countries. It would be Chris Stapleton.
Okay,
And then-
I would
What's the
think of
album?
all time.
I suck with names.
Of all time, you
Of
like
all
country?
times, I'm
Why not
sorry.
Dolly Parton? Why are you Willie
I
Nelson?
like
You're
it.
wearing
That's
a
just
Willie
my favorite
Nelson
singer.
shirt.
I like Willie Nelson, but he's not my favorite singer.
Okay, teleprompter guys, scream it over here. What is your favorite album of all time?
It would be Tupac.
You
Tupac.
stop lying. It is not
Too
Tupac. It's not
interesting.
Dave Mathews. Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Well done.
All right, but I'm all right.
Okay, my favorite is 1999 Prince, of course.
Oh, that's good.
All time.
All right. Well, hey, we'd like to thank lead instructor at Options Players, Greg Krause, for being here today, helping us out, getting us through those tough questions.
Yes. Remember, if you have questions, we can try to help you answer them, and we'd love to hear from you. So comment on our YouTube page, email us at www.optionsplayers.com, or, of course, you can always hit us up on social media at What's Next Wall Street.
You can, of course, watch episodes of What's Next Wall Street on the Options Players YouTube channel, so you can see our faces
Yes.
and see Greg drop some knowledge on us as well.
Absolutely.
Or if you're tuning in to us on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts, make sure you rate What's Next Wall Street with 5 stars. I'm Dave Mathews.
And I'm George Alfredas. Say, hey, do us a favor. Share our show with a friend, you know, and maybe they'll like you more. I don't know. I'm just trying to sound cool. Listen, share the show.